Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie, and this week's video I actually thought that I had been thinking about this for a while and realized that I haven't done an updated Sunrise review in a really long time. And that video that I'll link down below that I did when I first did my review, I had an old camera and it was like dark and storming out there, but it was the only day that I could film it. And so I will leave it down. It has lots of great information, but I will give you an update of what I feel like the Sunrise program has done for us as a family, and hopefully it will encourage you. So if you are new and you don't know what the Sunrise program is, I will give you a quick synopsis. It is a home-based therapy program built by parents for other parents and caregivers of children with autism. It was done because they had a child with autism back in the 70s and 80s, and they were trying to figure out how to take care of him. Autism wasn't widely known about like it is today, and so they had to come up with, what do we do? How do we take care of our child? And what was available to them was not something that they thought was loving or compassionate or kind to their son. And what is amazing about it is just how far their son Ron went with their just pouring their hearts out to their son. And when I found it, which I think I figured it out and now I'm forgetting again, about 6 years ago I first heard about it, but I didn't do anything for that first year because I was so overwhelmed because I had to homeschool my son as well. So it's been about a 5-year program that we've been running with Darian, and he is doing fantastic. He is not typical as far as that goes, but he is doing so much better. He is not filled with anxiety. He enjoys life, and he's a joy to have around. So the reason why I first looked into it was because after a year of homeschooling my son and trying to replicate the school system, because that's all I knew, and homeschooling was not something that I was like, oh, I totally am going to do that. So I have this prior knowledge. I had zero prior knowledge. I kept running into the wall of his autism and his frustration, and not anxiety as bad as it was when he was in school, but still like not wanting to do the work. And mommy had to learn a lot of, just it's okay to not replicate school at home, especially for your special needs child. So the Sunrise program, when I did finally take it, I did the online course, and I had the library and stuff like that as well. I did have a few people that I trained, and then COVID land happened, so then they were taken. I've trained somebody new, but busy life has happened, and so he's been kind of in and out. So the majority of our Sunrise program is run by me. And I always make a joke that if I could just Xerox myself one time, not Michael Keaton like hundreds of times like the movie, but just one time, and then one of me could be in charge of Darian and the other could be in charge of the girls, and then between the two of us we could keep my house clean, because that's not reality. I have found that I have to do more Sunrise program outside of his playroom. I used to feel really guilty about that and frustrated by that, and I hit a pretty bad burnout because the Sunrise program, if you watch some of their videos and you hear some of the stories, they would spend 5-6 hours in the playroom devoting all of their time with that child. And I just found that I you know, I got to the point where in my brain, my output equaled Darian's possible futures. And that was a burden way too heavy to carry. It burnt me out. It really, truly did. And so I really had to remember, that God is involved in this, and it's really not up to me. I pray for wisdom and energy and time and all of that kind of stuff. But there are days where my girls' education does need to take more of a front seat, because if they do go to college at this point, that is still a possibility for my girls. And it's less so for Darian. I do need to prioritize as best I can. That doesn't mean that I don't do anything with him, but we've really brought the Sunrise principles out of the playroom. We still do playroom fun, but we do pull it out and have it as part of our morning, afternoon, and evening. So to just kind of give an update of the review, I still love this program. It helps just from the basis of the developmental model. I have an idea of the next thing that I want to teach Darian. I have an idea of, okay, this is where we've stopped on the developmental line. What is next? What's the next thing? And I just love having kind of that roadmap, where before I was going blind. Like, I don't know how best to help him. I just know that this isn't working or that's not working. Now there's a plan of action. I love that. I also love how loving and respectful it is to my son. It not only kind of opened my eyes to what he was going through and seeing the struggle from his eyes, as opposed to my frustration in the moment at a store and going, why can you not just leave without 300 candies? It helped me view the world that he sees as he sees it, so that when those things happen, I go, of course you're feeling like this, of course. And then there's a lot more patience and a lot more understanding, and there's a lot more, if somebody else is upset with me because he's making a noise, sorry, you truly do not understand. And so it allows me to give that person grace for looking at us as freaks, but also it has built up my resistance to reaction to that. I'm like, if you have something to say, feel free, and I will explain what's happening, right? So those are all things that the Sunrise program really helped me with. I think the biggest struggle that I've had with the Sunrise program 5 years in is just there isn't a lot of talk about what if you can't do certain things. Like, we should take away all screens. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you know that that's not necessarily something that I can implement here, because A, it's something he loves to do. It's something that has expanded his language in different ways, but also if he is not occupied doing something when I'm doing stuff with the girls, he is making a mess, or he's going through his sister's stuff and tossing it out a window or whatever. There's only one of me. Another thing that I wish they made available or discussed is it's okay if you aren't able to fulfill 5 to 6 hours in the playroom every single day. I think even just finding volunteers and stuff, like, I would love to be able to go to Massachusetts and have my son be worked with, you know, their teachers, and like, that would be an awesome dream. But it is insanely expensive for us to even try that. And I think Darian would struggle because he doesn't like leaving his house, his bed. Like, we've left for a 3-day vacation and he cried every single night. So there's been is it worth risk versus gain? And those things didn't measure up to even attempting that particular thing. So there's a lot there that I kind of wish they specifically talked about. The other thing that I've noticed, and again, these are not cons as far as no one should use these programs because of. It's just things that I think as they move forward, it would be beneficial for them to look at. And Darian, why are you making that noise, silly boy? So one of the things that I would say is, one of the things on the developmental model is flexibility. And of all the games they have on YouTube and under their Autism Treatment Center of America YouTube page, one of the main things that I've seen is there's not a lot of games specifically targeted to flexibility and how we can exercise the flexibility muscles in our kids. And that's something that I'm constantly looking for, because that's something that has kind of stopped some of his language. If I use the word people, peeking, if I use the word wonderful, beautiful, adorable, there he is, wonderful, Wonderful. There are certain things that he really is adamant that we change. And those types of things are like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal to say wonderable or beautiful, but at the same time, it's hard to remember because that's not English. And so trying to learn how to help him be flexible in those areas has been a struggle that we still haven't really figured out. And then some of the things like, you know, at nighttime, he falls asleep in his bed. I've insisted upon that, even staying up till 1 or 2 in the morning to make that happen. But every single night he gets up and he goes to a lazy boy thing in our bedroom, and he did that starting several years ago due to anxiety. I had to have a surgery and that kind of freaked him out, but it's been 2 years-ish, and for sure, like, it's just become, this is what I do now. And it's just things that I'm like, eventually that's not going to be acceptable for a multitude of reasons, but it's just trying to figure those kind of things out once it becomes an ingrained, this is like half the time he's not even awake when he does it. So those are the types of things that I don't feel like the Sunrise program addresses directly. Now, all that said, you do have the ability to call them one-on-one, and there is quite a big charge for that. I think when I last looked, it was $200 US for, I'm not even sure how long. I think it says it on the website. But for me, the few times that I've done it, it hasn't been super helpful because they're not here, and they don't, like, you can only express what this looks like in so many words. It's kind of, you have to see it and with autism, the age-old saying of, if you've met one child with autism, you've met one child with autism, which means that they're at a disadvantage to give you a lot of really helpful ideas or specifics to your child's situation. So as a bow at the top of this, I love the Sunrise program. Of all the things that we've ever tried for Darian, this has been the one that it gave me the confidence to move forward in the things that I knew. It validated what I knew. It also validated Darian and the things that he was telling us through his actions, through his anxiety, through all of the things. I love the developmental model because it does give me, okay, how can I work on this next idea or the next thing on the developmental model where he's here, what's next? I love that. And I do truly think that, you know, like they never said this is when you should finish or be done. And so for me, it's something that I'm going to take all the way through his school years and beyond if we still need to. And so I hope that gives you an idea of how much I love it. The criticisms are not things that I think aren't surpassable. I also don't necessarily think that they should do anything based on my word. But I wanted to make it aware, or people to be aware of those pitfalls, so that if you start a Sunrise program or you are doing that and you're feeling some of those pressures, to allow yourself to have grace, to recognize that some of those things aren't healthy. And like I said, it wasn't that anyone at the Sunrise program said your output equals his possible futures or your child's possible futures, but I knew what they did at the Sunrise Treatment Center in Sheffield, Massachusetts. I knew what that looked like. I knew based on the movie how much the mom had just spent all that time in the bathroom when he was quite small. And we didn't start Darian's Sunrise program until he was 9. So like there's only so much that you can do as a parent. And I guess that's my biggest takeaway or advice, is that you have to make the Sunrise program work for you. And unfortunately, if you don't have a team of 20 people to spend all day with your child one-on-one, that is okay. So yeah, I love the Sunrise program, and I hope that what I've shared with you will be something that's helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will answer anything anyone has. I'm just trying to think, is there anything I need to remember? But I don't think so. But if you have questions, I do definitely want to answer them to the best of my ability and what our family's experience has been. I hope this has been helpful. We will talk to you next time. Check out the first video if you want a more comprehensive review of the program itself. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.